Hey, what's happening, everybody? It's your old pal, Mr. Butter, coming back at you again. I'm up with the early bird so I can make this review for y'all before work, but I cannot wait to get into this pair today. If you're into kicks and you feel like hanging out, then hit that subscribe button. Let's take a look at these SB Jordan 4s in the navy colorway. What is happening, everybody? It's good to be back here with y'all. Like I said, it is early in the morning. Work has been absolutely brutal lately, and a lot of times I shoot these reviews on my lunch break, but I haven't really been getting a lunch break lately, so I decided to set my alarm a little extra early so I could wake up and make this video for y'all. At least the lighting's going to be good with the sun just coming up and everything. But anyhow, today I want to take a look at a pair that I was not expecting to get for retail. This was high on my list of shoes that I wanted. I went for the first pair of SB4s that released a year or two ago, the Pine Greens, and I went for them everywhere I could enter for them, but I took all L's on that pair. I did a review of them, but it wasn't my size, and I basically just grabbed the cheapest size I could find so I could make a video and then moved them out of the collection because it's not like I could wear them anyway. But a lot like that pair and going for that pair and taking all L's, I assumed I would take all L's on these. I entered a bunch of raffles, some EQL raffles. I entered on CCS, I entered on Premier and other places like that, but I just came up with all L's. I was assuming that I would not have any luck on the sneakers app, but they did these way different. They released these, I guess people were calling it a shock drop, people were calling it EA. I don't really know what to call it. There was a link that was shared on Instagram, and if you had access to that link, you could click on it and it would take you into the sneakers app, but you had to do a scratcher and then it would give you the opportunity to buy these. Shout out to Rafi Collects. I had his live stream going. Fortunately, it was in between meetings. It was a little bit after 2 in the afternoon, and I unmuted it just in time to hear him say, yeah, use the link, it's a scratch off. So I ended up clicking on the link, and sure enough, there was the scratch off, and I got an immediate W on this pair. I sent the link to a buddy of mine, and he was also able to get a W pretty much immediately, and I think he gets a size 13 or something like that. So I was able to have success. I saw a lot of people had success. I would have never had that link if it weren't for Rafi Collects. So if you're subscribed to him, then you know how good his channel is. But I highly recommend going and checking out his channel if you haven't already, because he'll definitely help you cop some pairs. Let me know what you all think about the rollout of these. I think it was great because it enabled a lot of manual coppers to actually get the shoe for retail, and it wasn't just bots feasting on it. But I've also heard some people that were unhappy with it simply because they don't have Instagram, they don't have Twitter, they had no idea that they were dropping this way. Actually, I don't think anybody knew that they were dropping this way, but people are complaining, saying that if they don't have Instagram and they're not on Twitter and all that stuff, then they're not going to be able to get these releases. A lot of times you do just kind of have to get lucky and end up catching the information at the right time. And fortunately for me, luck was on my side that day. But anyhow, I ended up grabbing these from the sneakers app. I think they were $225 or $230 for retail. Definitely not a cheap shoe, but I think it's worth that price. I mean, all Jordan 4s are around $220 or $225 anyway, so they might have been a couple of dollars more, but nothing too crazy. They came in a box similar to the Pine Green Jordan 4. It's all sail colored. It's kind of got like a glossy finish on it. We've got a gray Jumpman, and then just underneath of that, we can see that Flight font in cursive. The tag reads Air Jordan 4 Retro SP. The colors are Summit White, White, and Navy. I went with my true to size 10 on this pair. And with all that box talk out of the way, have a look at this absolute banger. My favorite Jordan 4 colorway of all time is actually the military blue Jordan 4. It's always been my favorite. Because I like that military blue colorway so much, obviously I'm going to be a fan of this colorway. Today I do want to take a couple of minutes and compare these navy SB Jordan 4s to the military blue Jordan 4s, because there's things I like and that I prefer about both colorways. If I had to pick one, I don't know if I could do it at this minute, but I would probably still go with the OG colorway, simply for that fact, because it is an OG. It was one of the original colorways, and for me, that's just tough to beat. As a kid that grew up watching Jordan play and that sort of thing, and remembering when all these shoes released and everything back in the late 80s and early 90s, it's tough for me to beat the nostalgia that goes along with the true OG colorway. But with all that being said, these are absolute fire, and I am very pumped to have this in my collection. It makes it feel extra good just because I was able to get these for retail price. This, of course, is the military blue Jordan 4 that just released in 2024. It does have the Nike Air on the back, and it doesn't get much better than this. I think a primarily blue and white sneaker is in my wheelhouse anyway, just because blue is my favorite color and I prefer white colored sneakers over black sneakers. But I just love everything that goes along with this. I am a fan of it having the Nike Air on the back, and I just think these things are beautiful. I think this is one of the coolest pairs of shoes you can get right now for close to retail. So if you're interested in these, I'll have a StockX or a GOAT link down there at the bottom. Definitely check it out. That does help the channel out whenever you click on those links, so I appreciate y'all doing that. But these are very affordable. I think these are going for around 50 bucks less right now than what these are. One thing I preferred immediately about this SB pair is just the shape of them. These are a little bit more squatty, and it might be hard to pick it up on camera, but these just seem a little bit more low to the ground and kind of like chubby or something. But if you're familiar with like DCs and all those skate shoes, even SB Dunks, they're kind of just a little bit chunkier and a little bit more squatty. I like that. I think that this Jordan 4 silhouette wears that chubbier kind of shape quite well. And whenever you look at the toe box on these, you can even see that on the military blues, the toe box looks like it's longer and pointier, whereas the SB looks like it's a lot more squatty and kind of not as elongated and that sort of thing. It's more of just a rounded shape at the toe box, and I definitely prefer the shape of these. A lot of people have been saying that all Jordan 4s lately have been having the SB shape, and I don't think that's necessarily true. I do think that of all the GR Jordan 4s that I've picked up recently, I think that the Bread Reimagines do really have a similar shape to these SB 4s, but whenever I compare both of these, you can definitely tell these are more squattier and just kind of a little bit chubbier looking. These seem just a little bit more thin and a little bit more stretched out. You can also see it whenever you look at them from the back. So the OG looks taller and thinner, whereas the SB is more squatty and just a little bit wider. Another thing obviously that is different on this pair is just the shades of blue. This military blue is a little bit lighter, and I don't know how else to explain it other than that, but you can just see these navies are a little bit darker in the shade of blue. One thing I prefer about the OG is I like that there's blue behind that netting, whereas on the SB pair, it's just white behind that netting on the sides and then at the base of the tongue. But I really think that the blue behind the netting on the sides and the base of the tongue on the OG, I think that's a nice contrast for the shoe. I think it just helps to break it up a little bit more. So I do prefer that color blocking. I think it would have been cool if the SB navies would have had blue behind that netting, but I'm just nitpicking at this point. I do prefer the color blocking on the OG. Another thing I really like about the SBs are the little hits of red. So like on the tongue, you can see a red Jumpman, and also in the visible air unit, we have red, and I think that's a nice little hidden pop of color. With this shoe, it's all pretty much just blue and white, and this one, I really like those little pops of red that we get. I also didn't realize how much of a tint this white leather has to it. The leather is definitely more of an off-white, than what it is for the Navy SBs. And I probably do prefer the tinted leather just a little bit more as well. I thought it was interesting because I asked everybody in my family which ones they preferred, and they all unanimously said that they preferred these military blues. My wife was actually picking them both up, and she was saying that the materials on the OG pair feel better to her than what the materials on the SB Jordan 4 do. And I'm not sure that I agree with that. She was most specifically talking about the nubuck on the front feels a little bit more premium than what the suede is on the front of the SB Jordan 4. And this material probably does have a little bit more premium of a feel, but as a whole, I think they're very comparable to each other. I don't think one has better materials than the other. They both kind of have more of a stiff, more of a thick leather, and I think that's good because once they're broken in, they'll be just as comfortable as pairs with soft leather, but they'll last for a long time. They'll keep looking great for a long time, and I am a fan of the leather that we got on both pairs. And one last detail that I really like on the SB, I love the little gum accents that we have on the outsole. You can also see it from the side profile of the shoe, but I think that gum rubber underneath the forefoot and the heel, I think that's a really nice contrast, and it provides just a little extra pop, if you will. But I think that looks phenomenal on this pair, so I really like the way they did that on the SB4s. Let me know if you all have a preference, whether you prefer the SB Jordan 4 or the OG. If I had to pick one, simply because it's an OG, I would go with this military blue Jordan 4. And I also like the fact that these are available at more of a bargain. Like I said, they're very close to retail price still, even though they dropped about a year ago. And I think right now these are selling in most sizes for about 50 bucks more than what you'd have to pay for the military blues. All right, but with that quick comparison out of the way, we'll go ahead and do a quick rundown before I gotta get to work. On the outsole of the SB Jordan 4, like I said, we have that gum rubber under the front and under the heel on the outsole, and I love that contrast that it gives the shoe. The rest of it is just all a white color, and we have all that herringbone traction that's pointed in different ways. In the midfoot on the outsole, we get a nice contrast of red color again, and that's where we see our Nike branding. Then as we come up to the midsole, we can see that that white rubber from the outsole wraps up, and that meets a navy blue painted foam, as well as some white colored foam which surrounds our visible air unit. And once again, I love that red contrast that we have inside the air unit. I think that's such a nice little detail. Coming up to the mudguard, we have this grayish tan colored suede, whereas the other pair, the OG military blues, it felt like more of a nubuck. This is just slightly nappier. It's not a long hair or anything, but it's just a little bit rougher of a texture, and it's got that nice grayish tan color. I love the shade of this overlay, especially with the rest of the colors on the shoe, and it feels like it's a good enough material. I wonder if they made this a little bit rougher so you get a little bit better of a grip whenever you're using these for skating. That's just me kind of thinking out loud. I don't know if that's accurate or not, but I just wonder if that's why we got something that had a little bit more texture on the toe box of the SBs. For the base material of this upper, it's just a bright white leather, and it's a very smooth texture. It does feel like it's a nice thick material, and on the edges you can tell that it's a pretty natural material. It doesn't seem like it's synthetic. I think these will break in quite nice, and I think these will last a really long time. I like the fact that they gave us a smooth material instead of giving us something that was overly textured or anything. I just think smooth leather looks better on the Jordan 4 silhouette. One other difference that I didn't mention before is just like the pine greens, these have that really soft heel tab. On standard Jordan 4s, it's not this soft, and a lot of people complain that it hurts their heel. I've never found any discomfort from it digging into my heel. They really don't touch my heel in the least bit, but this one is much softer than what we'll find on standard Jordan 4s. And obviously this one says Nike SB on the heel instead of Nike Air, or instead of having a Jumpman on it. Much like this heel tab, these wings or these basketball nets or crowns, whatever you want to call them, for these accent pieces on the side, these are a much softer rubber than what we're accustomed to getting. But up here by the laces, we do have some nice navy accents in that soft rubber as well. At the base of the tongue and then on the side panels, we do have those ventilation areas where underneath the white netting, we also see some white mesh. I prefer the blue colored accents that we see on the OG, but I also think it looks nice in this bright white. It's a very clean looking shoe in my opinion. These only came with flat white laces. It would have been nice if they threw in another color, but I think these look just fine, and I have plenty of spare laces inside if I want to switch them up. For now, I'll just keep them as they came because I think it looks great. At the top of the tongue, we have more of that white smooth leather. Then we've also got this Jordan 4 style tag that has that red Jumpman, and then the flight font in cursive just underneath of that. One thing that I would change about this pair is I would give these a gray sock liner or even a navy sock liner instead of this white sock liner. I hate it when my jeans stain a white sock liner. On the back of the tongue, we do see a navy color, and we also see that Air Jordan tag, and it is upside down. Our insole is a red color, and it's got some white Nike SB branding down on it. Right, well, that was a quick rundown of these navy SB Jordan 4s. I was very pumped to hit these for retail. I really didn't expect it. I think 2025 has been absolutely bonkers so far, and I am still in disbelief of some of the pairs that I was able to get for retail, but I'll keep grabbing them as long as I can get them for an affordable price. Let me know which pair you prefer, whether it's the SB or the OG military blue 4s. And again, I would just encourage anyone, if you're really bummed that you missed out on this pair, I think that those military blues are a great pickup, and they're very affordable right now. They're really close to retail price, and I don't think you have to feel like you're settling at all if you're grabbing an OG Jordan 4. I appreciate you all watching tremendously, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. I will catch you all on the next one. I'm out.